What's up, YouTube? This your boy Scott Lewis, Palm Game and more Brooklyn Nets edition. Talking a little bit about Cam Thomas and the disrespect. Yo, man, what's going on? 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 Somebody is really making me mad. Cam is like a homegrown fixture in this Brooklyn Nets to me. I don't know why anybody would think otherwise. With the cap space that the Brooklyn Nets going to have in 2026, if done right, they will have plenty of money. Plenty. It's going up. And the free agency market will be flooded. I'm going to go over the list of the free agency because that's the key. I'm assuming that this is what the Nets are leaning to. They can offer him anywhere between $20,000 and $30,000 a year. With the cap space going up, it will not hurt them. It will not hurt them. I'm gonna take a look. Let me just get this correct. I want to get it right. All right, let's take a look. I'm gonna take a look at the free agency market. Yeah, let's take a look at the free agency market. This is crazy. Why would anybody... What's going on with so-called Net fans talking about trading Cam Thomas? What's going on with that? I thought we was past that. I really thought we was past that. I guess we not. I'm gonna put the link to join if you want to the conversation. That's up to you if you want to join. I'm gonna get mine's off. Anybody is welcome to come and get theirs on. You know, how are you gonna get rid of somebody who's averaging over 20 points a game in this league? What are you thinking? What are you thinking about? All right, the free agency market. Of course, Luka is going to be with LA. Just look at the free agency and the salary that some of these players. Paolo is going to get paid. We know he ain't getting moved. Jared Jackson could be a play. He could be a play for the Nets. You got Oklahoma City with Jalen Williams. He's staying. They're going to pay him. He's going to stay for less. Darren Fox ain't going nowhere. But I'm saying these are the names of the 2026 where the Nets will have cap space. They will have cap space. They're not trading their picks. Why would you go through all this to trade away some picks? They need players. They need a hit. Kevin Durant, Trey Williams will be available. Kyrie Irving will be available. Damian Lillard will be available. LeBron James will be available. Zach LaVine will be available. But these are not the names I'm talking about. James Harden will be available. Who else will be available? Mikal Bridges, he ain't coming back. The Clippers, Norman Powell will be available. Porzingis will be available. Nikola will be available. Look at his salary, 20 grand. Of course, I think he's going to retire. He said he wanted to go. He did not want to come back. I don't think he want to come back in the NBA. Austin Reeves, all he made was $12 million. Nas Reed will be available. That's a possibility. Why? I don't get it. I don't. These are players that's quite possibly be available. Now some of these players will be signed, but I'm just going through a list of players, a plethora of players that will be available in 2026. I don't figure. I mean, people here in New York are disrespecting Cam Thomas, trying to trade him, trying to talk about a trade, get rid of him. We've been down that road. We've been down that road trying to build with, a bunch of players, exposing yourself, making trades, giving up first round picks. That should be the last thing the Nets be worrying about. Should be worrying about building a team from the ground up. Not no instant satisfaction. It's mind-boggling that some Net fans, quote unquote, quote unquote, Net fans decided that this is what they, quote unquote, again, that they want to get rid of Cam Thomas, your best shooter on the team right now. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to build? The same thing you came from before? Don't get me wrong, it was fun and it was enjoyable, but it was very short. It wasn't sustainable. You have an opportunity with all these first round picks, whether they all ours or not, to build your team from scratch. Why would you waste that? Because a fan don't want to sit here and push getting rid of some good players on your team? Are you really a fan of the Nets? That's the question. I mean, you more than glad to, people are more than glad to leave a comment. Leave a comment. Or you can even hit the link, get up here and say what you feel. I'm going to stay on for an hour or two and give people time to see if they want to come up here and talk about why would you want to get rid of Cam Thomas? What possibly reason at this junction of the Nets organization right now would you give him up? What, for Giannis? Is that a viable thing? What are you going to do? Give him up in first round picks? And be back at square one? That's crazy. You got to be crazy. You got to be crazy to do that. There's no way you would do that. No way. No way. No way. No way. No way. No way. There's no way you would do that at this point. Because you're already at zero. You're building from zero. You are building the team right now. You got a great coach, a coach that can get this team, get some young players, young studs up in there and bring some excitement to the Nets. Why would you try to build a team through trade? If anything, you just add a player from trade to a team that's already looking on the up and up. That's all you need. You don't need nothing big. Nothing big out of the way. Just one or two pieces. The disrespect for Tam Thomas is crazy. And it's being done. What makes me upset is it's being done by people who claim they're Net fans. That's crazy. I mean, I understand that you might not like them. You can not like a player, but to push the narrative that you want to trade him right now, why? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Let me take a look at. Let me keep looking at this list because PJ Washington for Dallas, Kobe White from Chicago. His contract is up on 2026. He'll be a free agent, I believe. I'm just saying these are players and these are possibilities. We watch this league literally make big plays, literally make big trades and big plays in the middle of the season. Anthony Simon will be up for a contract. Just to put some names out there that, you know, just to put some names. Keegan Murray. Draymond Green, he's going to be out the door. Mark Williams. He'd be a restricted free agent. Oh, you only got $4 million, $11 million. What a contract. What is his upside? What is his potential upside? You know, the list keeps going on and on and on and on. These players are going to have to get paid. What changes will teams make? What moves teams will make? What moves teams will make? Well, you know, it's ridiculous for anybody to make that assumption that everything will be good. What's up? Hey, what's up, John?
How you doing?
Welcome, John, to the show.
Thank you, thank you. Interesting topic you want to talk about with Cam Thomas.
Back about
You know,
Cam Thomas, man. What's going on with these people now?
I mean,
I
it's
hear
crazy. He's not even 24 yet, and he's one of the most polarizing players I've ever seen in basketball. Like,
word.
it's ridiculous. Every year, it's like, can Cam shoot? Can he defend? Can he throw an assist? Can he do more than just score? I think some people look at his ceiling of being a Lou Williams that can start, or some people think that he has that Mamba mentality to be something special one day. I think what Cam did show you this year is that he fit well in Jordy's system as a scoring guard. I know some people want him to take on the point guard reigns. That last game against the Bulls, he had one of his best assist games. Like he
Right.
started showing you the playmaking got a lot better this year. The defensive rebounding was better before he got hurt. I
Yeah,
think for this season, like I told Breezy on his show, this is the most important season in Cam Thomas' career. Either he
I
does get
agree.
re-signed, which is very likely gets re-signed. He has to show you could be healthy for more than 50 games, maybe make an all-star case because you definitely want to prove that you're more than just a good scorer and to see if Cam Thomas could be a starter to hold down the job. But I think who we draft will play a part in that. But for Cam, you have to prove you could be a starter, or if you can't make it through another season healthy, you have to think about maybe being a sixth man if we draft players that are slightly more valuable. And that's not to say Cam ain't valuable, but at the end of the day, if you want to be a cornerstone piece, you got to make the case consistently And I think Cam's biggest problem is he hasn't done it consistently yet. But I definitely don't think he should be traded for a Giannis hole if you can find a way to maybe explore that without trading Cam. But it would be hard to at this point. So yeah, there's a lot of questions Cam Thomas has to answer this year. And for Sean Marks this summer, it's where do you value this guy? Do you see him, given what he went through injury wise, is now a 2-year prove it deal where he gets a $20 million salary for 2 years, which I think is financially beneficial because we could see if Cam's value gets better. Or right now, you could just say, you know what, let's sign him to a 3-year deal with an option, see what he does the next 2 years. And if he does well enough, cornerstone piece. If he does semi good, but your draft picks are really good and you're trying to advance your timeline, maybe Cam does become an important trade chip. But I would say, as far as this summer goes, you definitely want to resign Cam Thomas because if you want to maintain your flexibility, you want his contract to be market value worthy. And if not, I have a feeling Cam could potentially be somewhere else a lot sooner than Brooklyn if Sean Marks can't negotiate properly.
That's right. I totally agree. And I don't think they should just be like, give him a blank checkbook.
Right.
He has to prove his stuff. He's still got some work to do. But I see the potential, and they will have the cap space. That's the thing. That was the good thing, having the expiring contracts on the Nets, so they can have that cap space. But not only that, but the contracts are going up. So I mean, they'll be able to have more money and more space to make moves. Now, he's clearly one of the better players on the team. If you're going to make a move to get rid of Cam Thomas, you have to have a good game plan behind that. And I don't see it yet. You just have to wait. 2026 is a good time for free agency. Not this year, but next year. Next summer, there's a lot of movement that can go on, There's a lot of good players going to be restricted free agents in 2026 and 2027.
Right, and I even tell people with the Giannis stuff, it's purely hypothetical and seeing if there is potentiality there. Because you think about it, it would be hard to turn down a guy like Giannis. Yes, he is 31, but this guy's still in the prime of his career, putting up all-star numbers. Like, that is something you explore if it does happen this summer. Now, if Giannis goes somewhere else, I don't mind if the Brooklyn Nets drive up the price so that a team has to overpay, which benefits the Nets because if, let's say,
Yeah,
OKC overpays, Spurs overpay, or the Rockets overpay, we slide up there as that top team with assets to get a star of our choice. So I think for the Brooklyn Nets, you could potentially win the present in the future if you get Giannis or if you don't get Giannis. I think for the Nets, keep your ears open to the ground, see what happens. And if he does want to come to New York, well, what can you do at that point? If the guy wants to come here, I don't think Sean Marks Joe going to say, hey, Giannis, we appreciate the love, but we're not going to take you on because some people don't like your age. That's not going to happen. But I also would tell people, let's be cautious. If he goes somewhere else, we still have assets. We do well in this draft. We trade away Johnson and Claxton. Like, if you really want to put the Giannis rumors to bed, if Marks could trade Claxton to the Lakers for some expiring salary and a pick, there you go. There goes the Giannis plan. If you trade Cam Johnson to the Spurs or OKC for one of their picks and a future 2026 pick, hey, you know what? We could do this right for another year, have a great draft coming for 2026. And like you said, the free agency for next year, 2026, is way better than this year's. This year's like
yeah,
the Sahara Desert, but the
yeah,
following could be very advantageous for us.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. I totally believe there's going to be a lot of movement out west because there's a lot of players out west that's going to be restricted or free agents next year, and it's beneficial for the Nets to have that space and flexibility.
Right.
You
It's
think?
so important to have the flexibility. And I think that's what the great thing about the summer is. There's so many avenues this team can go as far as looking at who does potentially is available this summer. The honest is the only really thing we're connected to. And if that ship sails, we still have a draft the following year and this year. Like the Nets have all the opportunities in front of them. I think for Sean Marks and Joe Desai, it's your decision making skills. Because for the last 9 years, those decisions have not added up. They have not created any sustainability. Like they keep preaching that we want sustainability, long term winning. Well, then why is Giannis Plan A? Like these sources that keep leaking these materials might be from the Marks and Joe camp, saying, you know what? As much as we do want to do this the right way, we never do it the right way. I mean, look at the Brooklyn Nets; they have never gone the straight and narrow orthodox path. They've always done everything unorthodoxly backwards. And think,
You're right. But
like,
you know
it's
what?
crazy.
You know what? Do you think the Nets should go for Giannis? What you
I
think?
wouldn't. I wouldn't blame him if they did. I think you look at the top teams. I thought this guy, Sam from CBS Sports, he went on this guy Yoshi's a YouTube channel. They had a really great discussion, broke down all the teams, and the top teams they came up with that have the assets to make a Giannis offer would be the Spurs, Rockets, maybe Warriors if the Jimmy Butler thing doesn't go well,
Right.
and us. I would want to throw in Miami, but their assets just aren't that good to get
Right.
Giannis, maybe KD. But if I'm looking at the top three, it'd probably be Spurs, Rockets, and Brooklyn. OKC, if they win this year, I don't think they're breaking it down for Giannis. So I don't see that as being possible. Also, I don't think Giannis would want to go to that market because he said that he wants all the European guys to be in the top market. So you're looking at the top three teams. I'd say it's Spurs, Rockets, and Nets. And I think for us, if you want to make an offer, make an offer. But you don't have to kill yourselves either. If the Spurs and Rockets want to put all their picks, they want to put all their young pieces on the table for Giannis, have at you. You know what?
Good luck, right?
Yeah, we'll still have our pieces. Like I'm telling people, like we can make an offer, Giannis, but we don't have to kill ourselves either. And somebody came up with an interesting hypothetical. Why not include the Pelicans in a three-team deal with Giannis? Why not send Giannis and some of those Bucks pick to the Bucks so we could lessen the blow of picks we got to give up? And for our part, maybe we'll give the Pelicans one of our future picks that we don't really care about and give them a contract that could help them start the rebuild. Like there are different ways to approach the Giannis thing. I think a straight-up swap for Giannis would kill the Brooklyn Nets with all their flexibility. Now, if you include a third team, let's say like that, hey, you know what? We kind of lessen the blow a little bit, have enough assets to get a second star down the line, and you have Giannis Antetokounmpo who wants to build around your team. So there you go. Like it could go either way. I think it's a 50-50 shot, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Nets don't do it, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Nets do it. I think for Brooklyn this summer, see what happens after the dust settles, see what happens after next Tuesday, May 12th, which is the most important date in Brooklyn Nets history, figuring out where your lottery pick's going to be at. If it's a top three pick, I think the Giannis stuff will still be, going crazy. But if you get a 6 to 8 pick, hey, I think it's a little sobering. It's also like, let's play out draft night, see what group of picks we come up with. And if that is good for the following year to build on for draft wise, you stay that route. But you say, hey, you know what? We'll still go get Giannis, then that's the decision you got to live with. But I think for Brooklyn right now, play out May 12th, play out June 26th
Right.
draft night,
Right.
and then go from there with the Giannis stuff. I don't think a Giannis deal would happen before draft. I think it could happen like right after it though, because I think with the
Right.
Bucks right now, Dame is out for a year with the Achilles. He is very unfortunate. Prayers to him in his recovery, but he's 35. Like most guys come back from Achilles injury at that age. I don't know if that's ever happened, so that's definitely gonna be something to look out for. Kyle
Yeah.
Kuzma, if that's all Giannis has got as a plan B, see a sayonara or buy Bucks, send me anywhere but your team. Like I think it's inevitable, and I think for Brooklyn, I think we're in like a top four scenario of potential bidders. But I think right now, see how the draft goes, and then you go from there. But I hope this Giannis stuff gets put to rest before a training camp starts because I'd rather it be done with. And if he doesn't come to us, great, we don't have to talk about it anymore. But if the Nets do make an offer, nobody should be surprised. This is Sean Marks and Joe Desai, two guys who've always gone the star route because they need stars to justify their leadership decision skills. So, I
Right.
mean,
Right.
you can't really blame people for being hypothetical like that because that's just the
Yeah.
way the organization's rolled the dice for the last few years.
It's crazy. I'm looking at 2026 with Jared Jackson and Memphis. Memphis got a lot of questions to ask next year.
Right.
I just have a feeling the West will be the Wild Wild West, and it's going to be a lot of movement. And I think Giannis might go west.
Man, if Giannis goes to the Spurs with Wemby and Fox, just end the
Oh,
season,
Jesus
like, come
Christ!
on. Who is stopping a Wemby and Fox combo? If Wemby is defensively elite and Giannis is offensively still
Well, they
physical,
have
brutal, and they have De'Aaron
they
Fox
have the
dropping a quick
picks.
30 in the middle, what do you do with that? How do you
They
stop
have
that?
they have the picks. They have the picks. They have the young players. They have it. They have what the Bucks want.
They definitely do, but I would say this too. I think people are forgetting this too. Giannis is going to have a big say where he wants to go. Now, if he wants to go to
That's true.
Spurs, They definitely
He
will
would
make
say
the
that.
offer in LB. I think with the Spurs, though, they hired Mitch Johnson, a guy who I think was under the Popovich tree, but it's like his first time being a coach. Does Giannis want to be under a first time head coach that he doesn't trust as opposed to a Popovich? Or there was another guy, Mike Malone, who got fired from Denver. Like, if he was the coach of that team, maybe Giannis would be more wanting to go there. I think for Giannis, he wants to go play with a coach that understands him, respects the way he plays the game, and can follow his lead, and as he follows their lead. So I'm not sure if that coach is going to be something that's going to get him there. But hey, you got Wemby and Fox, so you can make the
You
offer
can
for
make that.
Giannis and
You
roll
can
that
make that
dice.
case. You can make that case.
You
I mean,
could.
we've seen 1 year, first year coaches do superb.
Yeah, and true. And if you have Fox and Wemby, it doesn't really matter at that point with the coach because you still have
I
good bench
mean,
pieces
it's pretty
too.
much like
Yeah.
they're gonna stick to game plan.
Yeah, it would be sick though. I mean, you're going from OKC, who are kind of
I
just
hate to
running
say
the
that.
West right now, and they're the youngest team. It's crazy. The OKC is one of the youngest teams. They're running one of the toughest leagues in NBA history. But now you add a Giannis to a Wemby. Like, if those two teams are just going to be fighting each other for maybe the next 3 to 4 years for titles at that point, like, yeah, that's how bad it could be. But you also have to ask too: does Giannis want to go to the West? I think once he requests a trade and we get maybe a list from NBA Central or Shams of what his main teams are. If it's in the West, that's probably where it's going. But let's say Giannis wants to stay in the East. Then the whole thing about Brooklyn just gets turned upside down like Alice in
Yeah,
Wonderland. Like, you
yeah,
got to think about that too. I hope we do get an official list because I don't want you to talk about who hypothetically could be in it. But if you look at the main teams that could be in it, it would be the Spurs, Rockets,
and
Brooklyn,
then
and OKC. That would be my
yeah.
top four teams right now. I don't see any other team though
No, I
that can
don't
match
see
up
no other
assets
team.
wise.
No, I don't
And
see other team.
yeah,
Yeah,
somebody took
it's a possibility. I mean, in the East Coast, Brooklyn Nets are definitely one of the teams that have the space and will have the desire to try to get them. But I just want to try something like everybody else did. Draft your stuff.
right.
Draft your pieces and then build around that.
You definitely want to try to do it the right way. And I think if the Nets get a top three pick somehow this year, it's like you would have to have a huge anomaly this year. Six stars last 6 years has been a 6 through 9 pick. So if we someone get a top three pick, I'm not going to say the NBA did something for it to happen, but there really is no other rationale. It's
We've
not just the
seen it.
Nets got lucky
We've
and won a
seen it happen
jackpot.
with Atlanta.
Yeah, but my thing is this: if we somehow do get a top three pick, there's an expectation that the Nets will have to eventually get a superstar in like the next 2 years to justify that. Because you know how the NBA is: if they make a deal with you to say give you a top star, there's an expectation that you're going to bring the NBA a lot of money and raising that young prospects, a level to the next level. So it's
Yeah,
like
that's true.
that's a potential worry too. But at the same time, if I get a top three pick, I don't care about that. I got my foundational piece. Now it's about how can we add more pieces around it. And I agree with you. Getting a solid core before the start is important. I think what Sean
I
and
think
Joe
so.
in their mind is why not get the prospect and the star, have two timelines blend together. And if it doesn't work out with the star, hey, he got to be mentored by one of the top players in the NBA for the next 2 3 years. And then you trade that guy for Hall, and you know what? We have this young, experienced now young star, and we have a whole bunch of assets. Like, if that's the way they're going to do it, I wouldn't necessarily hate it incredibly, but I also would be very disappointed because we do want to eventually be closer to a title than be far away from it. I think everybody
Yeah,
looks at the honest thing as we'll be a playoff team, but we'll probably never get over that hump. And I totally agree with people like that. I just think it would find it hard, and I think people shouldn't be, against this. That Sean and Joe don't make an offer. Like, they probably will make an offer at this point if they have a chance to, because it's Giannis. Like
yeah,
they said in their criteria at the interview, this star has to be an absolute game changer. And the only star available to someone that is a game changer is Giannis. Some people go like, "Hey, this is not the same Giannis from 2 3 years ago." Look at his numbers. I mean,
yeah.
without
His
this guy
numbers are
this year,
crazy.
the Bucks never would have made the playoffs or the play
Period.
in,
They
mind you.
would
And if you put his numbers next to Donovan Mitchell on the Cavs, next to Shea and OKC, or next to the Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards, those three teams are championship potential this year. So people got to stop saying Giannis is like his prime is ending now. No, he's got at least another 4 or 5 years at most of his prime, especially if he keeps staying healthy. Everybody looks at physicality and age. Look at Luka Doncic, Scott.
yeah,
65%.
Yeah.
of Timberwolves players scored against him on drives, and
Yeah.
people worried about Giannis's health. How about Luka? Stop drinking the brewskis and hit a gym. Like, come on, people got to stop looking at Giannis's age as the reason why we should have considered going after him. Look at it.
You
This
know
guy's
what
in
he
like
looked like? You know what
what?
he looked like? I was watching basketball in the park, and one of the guys sitting up there at the top of the key getting blown by, everybody blowing by him. That's what he looked like. He looked like a park player. I mean, I hate to say that, but he can shoot, but he can't defend.
I don't even
Oh,
know if he. I don't even know if he could defend a flushing toilet at this point.
but
Like, that's
it's difficult to come in LA and expect to win anyway. That team had issues.
yeah, they definitely do, and that's why I think the Nick Claxton thing becomes such an interesting topic
Nick would
because
fit
they
LA.
definitely need a
Nick
big.
would
I mean, Jack's.
Nick would fit LA.
Yeah, I mean, well, he has the fashion stuff down pat, so of course he would fit that part of it. But also, I think he complements Luca more. And if LeBron stays, you have your two stars, and let's just remember, stars have helped Claxton's numbers, grow significantly. And without those, he's like Clark Kent without glasses on. Just Claxton can't do much without stars navigating his offense and his defense. So
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's a good situation for him. And Jackson A's going to get the Lakers nowhere quick, and they do have expiring contracts in Rui, Vincent,
Right.
Maxi Kleber. So two out of three of those contracts with a Dalton Connect and a pick. I'm fine at that point. I get two expiring salaries. That's almost like 25 million free cap space. I get a pick on top of it, and I get out of this nightmare scenario of Claxton's contract. It's a win-win book. I mean, I look at this too. Plan A with Giannis, Claxton's in the deal. Plan B with Lakers, Claxton's in the deal. So either way, getting Claxton off this team is beneficial long term to our financial flexibility. And I just hope Sean Marks and Palenka come to a deal. And I hope Marks doesn't get super greedy, say, "Oh, I need two picks for Claxton." No, take your
I
pick
think
and run.
I think they're using Claxton as something to trade for. They could be using him as a trade bait.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of suitors besides the Lakers. I don't see many teams that after what Claxton did this year that are like very high tune, like, oh, I got to get this guy. The Lakers is more of a need thing. They need some guy to play some type of defense, and Claxton can guard 1 through 4 and give Luca a little defensive coverage. Now, is it going
Yeah,
to really
he
help him long
definitely would
term?
fit the
Who
Lakers.
knows?
Yeah, he definitely would fit the Lakers. He definitely need that's
Yeah, and as
someone.
much as I And must I agree with people that the picks really don't matter? Hey, listen, that's a 2031 pick we could get potentially. And who knows where Luca's going to be next 5 to 6 years with LA. If the guy can't get physically healthy, doesn't matter what we do giving him Claxton or taking that pick. That pick could be valuable to the Nets in 5 to 6 years. So it's not like it's just a throwaway deal where we're trading Claxton just to trade Claxton. You potentially could get a valuable pick down the line to be a
Yeah.
good trade asset if Luca can't get in physical health, which
Yeah.
I think is a very important thing to think about.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I who would you if you would trade Cam Thomas, which is ludicrous at this point, but if because I've been hearing that somebody we know, Breezy, wants to debate somebody, which
Oh
is
man.
I found out that um somebody that we know, BK, I ain't gonna say their whole name.
BK Anonymous Hoops.
Said something about trading Cam Thomas that pissed him off.
So
I mean, I personally wouldn't even fathom the thought, not unless somebody give me something that I cannot, and I mean cannot refuse.
right, and that's the thing with Cam's value this year. You're not going to get a whole lot if you do a sign and trade for him,
So it makes no sense. It makes
unless he
no
was
sense.
part of a deal to get a Giannis. Let's say there is no real reason to trade Towns because
Can
not a
you
lot of
see
people see his
Milwaukee
value.
wanting him?
I definitely wouldn't put it past them. I think at the end of the day, the Bucks are going to prioritize the picks. But some people keep telling me, "Oh, it's the players." The players. Listen, the Bucks are a bottom tier market. They're like at 27, 28 out of 30 teams. They should be happy to get whatever they can get to restart. Listen, you had Giannis, you won a title, you did the song and dance. Now it's time to get to reality and start things over. Not that we got to give you a star player for Giannis just because you're the Bucks. Who cares? Like at the end of the day, if Giannis wants to go to your team, take the best collection of assets you can get. What we can give the Bucks is some picks. We could give them some salary that's not long term. It is an interesting thing. One of my friends brought up: the Bucks probably are not going to want to take back long term salary. they're going to have financial flexibility and picks to rebuild and be in the draft to get young talent and start over. They're going to want guys on to put them over the luxury tax just to be competitive, so they're on a sinking ship. I think that'd be a horrible strategy. I think it's something
Yeah.
they'll consider, but
Yeah.
they would be that would be ludicrous for them to do. So if we had to give up Thomas to get Giannis, I can't hate Marks and Joe for it, because at the end of the day, if it's to get a guy of his caliber and Thomas Forte has to be the guy to go, it's those tough decisions to make. Let's also remember too, if the Nets want to keep their 2025 lottery pick, if it's an Ace, Cooper, or Harper, you have to choose between that and the 2026 pick and Cam Thomas. You'd probably want to keep your lottery pick to pair with Giannis, and that's just unfortunate. Like I don't, I would love to keep Cam Thomas in a Giannis scenario, but unfortunately, we might have to go down that road if we do go down that road. But
So
like
so so
like you said,
if we get the top three pick, then it's a possibility.
I wouldn't rule it out, and
Yeah, I would rule it out.
I would like to keep Cam Thomas at the same time. But at the same time as well, I'm in the reality position of it just seems like Marks is using Thomas too as a piece for something down the line. Doesn't feel like he sees Cam as the guy of the future, the franchise guy, because it's never come out of his mouth that he says, "Oh, I see Cam Thomas as this next leader, this next guy." He called Cam Johnson, Scott, the leader of this team, a guy who's going to be 30 in a year as the guy. I thought Cam Thomas would be your leader because he's your young, skilled scorer, a guy that wants to be on a great level. But you're saying Cam Johnson's your best guy, and he's a role player, fourth, fifth option. Like that's where my problem is with Marks. It's like if you see Cam Thomas as the guy, we'll see it this summer, depending on what you give him. But if you don't, you give him a 2-year contract.
Yeah,
Best
that
thing to do is trade him eventually, then have him be on this team and never reach his ceiling. Like I think Marks and the organization has to find a ground with Cam Thomas where there's either a future there with something or there isn't, because you don't want to play with people's emotions like that, especially Cam Thomas, who's been through a lot these last few years with Brooklyn, going from being
yeah,
benched to
yeah,
playing to bench to playing and to now being a potential starter, but he got injury prone. So there's a lot of pros and cons to away with Cam Thomas. But as far as the offseason goes, let's take the honest thing out of it. There's not a lot of places where you could trade Thomas to and get a huge haul of assets back. I would throw one team in potentially, the Magic. You know, they have Anthony Black. They have
yeah.
some picks. Like I wouldn't want to trade Cam to a division, another division rival that's in the East. But you know, at this point, if you want to do a Thomas for Anthony Black and 2 unprotected first round draft picks, that's something to think about. Would I want to
Yeah,
do it for Cam Thomas right
yeah,
now? Probably not, because I'd only probably want to trade him if I was getting a star player back, and I'm getting back a young point guard with potential. I'm getting 2 picks that could not really be anything. Is that really a solid deal for Cam Thomas? And that's where you got to ask yourself if you're weighing that. But I wouldn't do that type of deal. So yeah, I think the best case scenario is find a middle ground with Cam this year. If it's a 2-year pact, prove it deal, okay. If it's a 3-year with a option on the third year, fine, take it at the same time. Let Cam use these 2 years to either prove he's a legit part of his future, or he's a trade chip if things don't work out that way. So I think you want to get him under contract though this summer. Worst case scenario is you don't want him taking a $5 million qualifying offer, betting on himself, and another team
right.
scoops him up the
Yeah,
following year. So
that's true.
March is really gonna have to show us if he can negotiate with Cam Thomas, because you couldn't get 3 superstars to like you. You couldn't get a role player Mikal to like you. If you can't get Cam Thomas to like you, what more can we do with this guy as our GM? You know. So I hope that gets solved the first day of free agency. I really do. The longer it goes on, the more people are going to wonder, damn, what's going on with Cam Thomas? I'd rather that stuff get nipped in the butt first day of free agency, so we don't have to talk about it.
What you call him would be free agent from Charlotte, the center Williams. You know,
Mm,
what do you think about his game? I think his game is it can develop.
I think he's got some potential, but from what I heard about the Lakers, there's an immaturity factor, there's a health factor, there's just some things about him that's like you worry about. Like, yes, there's upside potential, but at the same time, you want a player that is going to take it seriously and harness all the skills they can. Like, I feel like with Williams and Claxton, they're similar in that immaturity factor. I mean, Claxton this year, when he started out the season, trying to get in fights with refs, trying to, clothesline people and throw cushions, it's like, dude, you just got paid $100 million and you're acting like this, cosplaying as Dennis Rodman. Like, well, come on, dude. Like we gave you $100 million because we thought you wanted to be here, and now you're showing us all this negativity. And I don't know if it was impending fatherhood or something, but Claxton just was not focused this year. And then he used his back injury at the end of the season as an excuse. No, dude, you played 70 games. You played 70 games not because of the back, it's because you didn't work on your game. You couldn't handle the rebuild. You couldn't handle being a leader type vet. And you kind of probably wanted out, but you went about the wrong way showing your feelings like that. So I think for Claxton this summer, if we could find a way to get off his contract, I think it's all better for us. But with Mark Williams, I just don't know if that's the investment we should take. I hope we could draft a center this year. You
Yeah,
know,
that's the whole thing.
I think there's some good late options for us. You know, a Danny Wolf,
Yeah, I do.
Maxime Bernard, 7
Yeah,
footer. Like
yeah.
there's
There
some
we
really good enticing options.
yeah, we could like I think everything is based off this draft. How they gonna move. I
Hmm,
really believe that. Because if they get a big man that can play a little bit, shoot a little bit, and run the floor, I mean, that will change the outlook in a guard. You know how I feel about a guard. I think
right.
they just need a guard. They need a point guard. They need a point guard, somebody who can take the pressure off our shooters.
Right, and I think for your lottery pick, getting a point guard would be a great tone setter. And then the Bucks pick, if we don't trade up with it, drafting Thomas Sorber at 19 would be great because
Right.
everyone hearing a lot of good things. Solid rebounder, good defender. It's got a little Bam Adebayo with a mid range. Like there's some really good high things to like about him. So if you get a Dylan Harper or Jeremiah Fears and you get a Thomas Sorber, like that's a great start to your draft night. Then it's about trying to get a forward maybe a scoring piece, and then using that late second round pick maybe to get a big or something like that, another
Right.
big. So I think the Nets have options this upcoming draft to meet a lot of areas of needs. But with your lottery pick, you want it to be the best prospect you can get that can be a potential core foundational piece. Like you don't want to just go for necessity. You want to go for the best overall player I can get at that point. But after that, think about areas of need because you definitely want to get a big this summer. I think with Claxton Dayron, they can only give you so much, but they're both very limited. I want a big that can give me way more than what they're giving me right now. And I need versatility. I want all the pieces that we draft to be very versatile, connectors, all glue guys. Like you don't want redundancy. You want
Right.
consistency and versatility. Like you need those things. So
Yeah.
I think the Nets have some really good options to consider. I just hope May 12th we get some good news on this pick. If it's a 68 pick and Fears, Trey Johnson, and Derek Queen are still on the board for me, I'm not going to be as down about it as some people could be. But you definitely got to make sure you know who you want to get as soon as we find out where we're picking at because you don't want to come to draft night going, oh, damn, do I want this guy, want this guy? You'd be like, I know who I'm going to get with that pick. So it'll be
Yeah.
very interesting how that happens. But I agree with you. Point guard and center are definitely two positions to address this year. And I think with the wing position, if we somehow get lucky with Ace and Cooper, that would be great. But if we don't get a power forward this draft, AJ DeBonsta, Cam Boozer, those are two forwards who are very highly rated the following year. So I wouldn't be, as down about it, but you definitely want to get a point guard at a big in this draft, at least if you can't get the power forward first. And if you get the power forward this draft, there's a Darren Peterson the following year has looked like one of the best young scoring prospects in a long time. So the Nets have very different ways to navigate this. It's just they got to make the right decisions, and it's got to make sense for the future.
Yeah, I think I personally think that they're going to take their time. They haven't said too much. Of course, nobody's really saying too much, but they definitely got some leverage going their way. So
Right.
we'll see. We'll see. You know how I feel about Cam. I like Cam, but like I said, this is the NBA and anything can happen. That's for sure.
Right. And
So
there's so many questions we have to answer too about Cam's future, what the Nets want to do. And it's another thing remember with this Giannis stuff is we're the only suitor out of the Rockets, OKC, and Spurs where we have cap space to absorb
yeah, we
Giannis's
do.
contract. And that's why I tell people to not lay it to rest until it's officially laid to rest where he goes because the Nets do have the cap space to absorb that contract. And if the Bucks want to unload another player to make the deal happen with us, we have the cap space to make it happen. So the Nets have a very advantageous way of potentially getting Giannis. But at the same time, use the cap space strategically this summer if you don't get Giannis. Can I get an expiring contract like a Harrison Barnes from the Spurs with some draft capital to use the cap space? Like the Nets should definitely try to play the facilitator role this summer because a lot of teams, I think 89% of the league this summer doesn't have the cap space to make those types of moves, but we do. So if Marks can get himself in 2 deals this summer where we're that third team facilitating, collecting assets, expiring deals, it puts you in a great position the following year. And I think it's a great way to use the cap space. So I hope the Nets use the cap space strategically this summer, especially if they don't go down plan A.
Yeah. So how's everything with you on X? That's what I wanted to ask.
Everything's going well, man. Solo content created now, connecting with a lot of people, making some fun content, dealing with some people who don't like my content, could care less because I enjoy it. At the end of the day, if you enjoy the content you create, other people will as well. Don't let one
Right.
negative or two negative people bring that down because once they do, you're not cut out for this. One thing I've learned of creating good content is getting a reaction is very important. If you don't get a reaction, it means you didn't put out any good content.
That's true.
I'm learning a lot of good things about it, and I'm
Yeah,
connecting
that's
to a lot
true.
of good people too, and I'm enjoying it. I think
So where can you
working
be
with
reached at? Where can you be reached at on X?
right. So my handle name is everything became that's John. My code on it is um, OS 91413 John. Say that again, OS 91413 John. But my title is Everything Beacon as John if you put me in on the Twitter. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm
All
very
right.
easy to reach on there, and I usually incorporate now a lot of different people into group posts. So Scott, if your name's on a group post, if you want to respond, you're more
Yeah,
than
I
welcome
see it
to.
all the
But
time. Oh, I see you all the
yeah,
time. You keep us
yeah, this
informed.
I definitely try to keep everybody informed, and it's always good to have good conversations, good debates. I know some people say to take what I say and say, "Oh, John just being rash because he doesn't want to agree with you." No, it's not that I want to agree with you. It's just I like to disagree with you, and I like to debate you about something. But doesn't mean
Yeah,
I don't see your points as valid because I just told somebody this tonight. I said I'm not going to block you because I disagree with you. Like this guy
right,
Nets did,
right,
Bob. He blocked
right.
me because I was trying to protect a friend of mine on Twitter and he didn't like that. But you know what, dude? Just because you disagree with me doesn't mean you have to block me just because we have different ways of thinking. So my
Yeah,
best advice is even through disagreements, you always will be able to find the middle ground somehow. And
yeah,
the good
that's
thing
true.
is a lot of people understand me, know who I am, know I'm an upstanding guy, and know that I keep it real. Even if you don't always agree with me, at least I'm trying to keep it real with you and not try to just say a whole bunch of smoke and mirror crap to your
Yeah,
face.
you
I see a
always
lot of
keep
people
it
that
on the
do
up and
that
up.
and don't change. I try, man. I try, and I
Yeah,
appreciate you too. And guys, definitely try watching Scott's content. Like he knows the game. Like he's been around for a while, right, Scott?
that's right. I watched
Nah,
this for years and years, man. I've been watching this team, and I'm excited because we haven't had a draft pick in a while, man.
most
We need
definitely.
it.
Jamal, come on the panel. If
Yeah,
I have
I
to
will.
leave in a few minutes, I just have to go do something, but I'll try to come back on. But that's why I want Jamal on to keep the conversation going. So Jamal, definitely come on for a bit, buddy, because we're just talking about all the different stuff going on.
Jamal, right here. Yo, Jamal, get on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah. That is definitely something I've been watching the Nets for a long time. I've been a Net fan since they were in Long Island, so that's
right.
a long time.
Right. So
I went
people
through a lot.
definitely check out Scott's content because he always keeps it real as well and has great conversations. And I definitely would like to do another stream with you before draft night happens, just so we could talk
Oh yeah,
about topics and all that. So, and I know
yeah,
you'll
yeah.
be
No, I'm gonna do one
updated and all
the
that.
day before the draft too. Yeah,
Nice. I'll definitely be on for that. So I definitely want to get some stuff
I was
out. And
thinking about trying to do it live. I was really doing a live draft. I don't know if that'll be possible, but I think so.
now, if not, we could definitely do a day after where we just talk about what all happened and all that. And I'll
Yeah,
definitely be
yeah.
up for that
Are you
too.
going to the draft? Are you going?
I wish I'm very busy right
Them
now. I'm doing
tickets
a lot
got
of
to be
different
off the
things.
current. Them tickets got to be crazy.
But I definitely will be on X almost all day for draft day, so you'll probably see over 1,000 posts.
I know who
I'm-
won't be there. The Knicks fans.
oh my gosh! No, they'll be busy getting filet of fish by Boston.
They're
no,
not going to
no,
show up. They will
no.
not be
Listen,
there.
it's crazy because a lot of Knicks fans think that the Mikel thing is still going right for them, but some of them have comes to realization that it hasn't. And I think for Brooklyn Nets, listen, at the end of the day, all we did was say yes. We gave you who you wanted. We took all the picks, and now we potentially have a pick under 20 with the Bucks pick. And in 2 3 years, if the Knicks don't do anything insanely crazy, looking good for us. So I'm happy right now. So if the Knicks fans don't want to be happy for us, you know what? I'm happy.
Yeah, that's right. I am. I know I am. The future's
Right.
gonna be great. Don't worry.
Most definitely. Just something else to think about for topic to look on draft night. Spurs and OKC. They are two teams in this draft that aren't bottom fears whatsoever. They're two teams looking to be in contention. They have multiple picks to work with, and I think the Brooklyn Nets are the perfect trade partner for either one of them. Now, if OKC wins the title, I don't think there'll be any talks there. But if they don't, let's say OKC somehow collapses against Denver, there will
I
be a lot of
always say they.
conversations on like what can they do.
I always say they haven't been tested.
Right,
They
and
have
Denver
not
won
been tested.
tonight.
They
And
have
Denver
not
won
been.
tonight.
Huh?
And Denver won tonight. They won Game 7. They crushed the Clippers, man. What happened to James Harden, man? I heard Quitter James trending on Twitter tonight, man. Apparently, as soon as the
They-
clock left, he was already on an
oh,
airplane out of
oh
Denver.
man! I didn't. I haven't really even checked the score. I thought that the Clippers might won this game,
Oh no,
but
man! Complete opposite. They got
experience
crushed.
wins, don't it? Don't experience win all the time. Most of the
That and
time.
Russell Westbrook got another revenge game against his
Oh
former
yeah.
team.
Oh yeah. 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 That's true.
Nah, but like you said, listen, Denver, they got experience. Nikola, one of the best players. So you knock Nikola out, he's one of the best players in the playoffs. So I think it's a great test for OKC. I think for Shea, he had a disappointing opening round against Memphis, but he has such great depth in the team, it really didn't matter. But for this series, Shea
That
has to
team is
show us
special.
for this series, she has to show what type of MVP he is against Nicole, and that's going to be a great battle. But it's really going to be the supporting pieces, and I would say OKC definitely has a lot of different bench pieces they could throw at Denver. I think with Denver, you're going to be relying on Gordon, Nicola, Jamal, um, and Porter, who's dealing with a shoulder injury. That's a problem. As much as they're able to just get by Clippers, if Porter ain't fully healthy, I think OKC is going to take advantage a lot on the 3 point line against Porter if he can't make his three. So I would actually say it's OKC's to lose, but it's for Denver's to have to win because I think with Nikola Joker, what's going on with the Nuggets, they're meeting the luxury penalties now. They don't have a lot of draft capital, and you look at Gordon, Murray, and Porter, they're all dealing with injury elements. And Joker, as happy as is to be a Denver Nugget, they just went through a whole lot of craziness with firing their coach and their GM. And now you have to
Yeah,
wonder, where's Denver going to be next 2 years? Are they still going to be
that's
competing?
true.
Or are they
That
going to
is
eventually
true.
drop from second round to first round to play in? Like, if there's about to drop to play in the next few years, then people got to start wondering, could Nikola Joker truly turn the NBA upside freaking down requesting out? So I think for
Oh
Denver,
wow,
there's a lot.
that would be the craziest thing in the world.
I wouldn't rule it out. Listen, Nikola, one of the most professional players ever, but just like with Giannis, I think Joker's will be the same situation as Giannis in a few years. If your other pieces aren't on your level and helping you
Yeah,
when
it's
you
time
need
to
their
go.
help, you got to
It's
think
time
about
to go.
going. And once that happens, the NBA is going to go through a freaking sidewinder.
Oh wow,
Like,
it's gonna be crazy. That's like almost a shift of power.
exactly. That's why this series with OKC and Denver, there's a lot at stake for both teams. For OKC, it's to prove that you belong and that you're a real legit contender. For Denver, it's to hold on to the crown. And if Denver gets eliminated, I think there's a lot of questions to ask. But if OKC gets eliminated, the honest stuff becomes bigger for them and maybe other role pieces that are in the NBA that they might need. So I think both teams, a lot riding on that series. But it's going
Yes,
to be a
a
fun.
lot. I
It's gonna be
think
fun.
Denver is a better 3 point shooting team than OKC.
Yeah, the only problem is Porter's shoulder. If that's not healthy, man, I think that's going to be a huge negative on them because they rely on
Yeah,
him to produce a lot of 3 point shots. And
that's true.
Westbrook, listen, he had a very up and down series, and if he shoots a lot in this series with OKC, I think it's over, man. Like, no offense to Westbrook, man, but he
No,
has this
hey, look.
ability, man, to just
What
take
if
a
he
lot
wins a
of
couple
shots.
of games for them? What if that happened? I
Great.
mean, I know we be sitting here going, we never seen this against OK. We never seen OKC struggle to win.
It's a great point. And here's another thing too: the Timberwolves. I think they're the one team that will be potential kryptonite for OKC. And right now, they're a very fresh team going up against either the Rockets or Warriors, who are playing a 7 game winner take all tomorrow. So I think the Timberwolves probably are like the biggest threat to OKC just because Edwards is playing on such a high level. Naz Reid playing on a very high level. McDaniel's doing his thing. Rudy Gobert, listen, I think he's a huge liability against a team like OKC. But man, if he could figure out and remember he's a 7 footer, anything's
Right.
possible at that point. But I
That's
think the
true.
Timberwolves and Randall. I think Randall has a few mismatches, but it's crazy about Randall. Every time he goes to the playoffs, everybody says, "Oh, nobody gives him mismatches because they're game planning well against him." But you know what? I think the Warriors are a very small team that Randall could play some bully ball against. I think OKC as well. Like if they're not tested, like you said, Randall could take advantage. So I think the Timberwolves. I didn't think they were going to be a contender at all this year, but they are really
They
starting to
looking
put it
good.
together
They
at
starting
the
to put it
most
together,
important
right?
time. And
Right.
I'll be honest, Shea and Edwards, they cancel each other out. So it's really going to come down again. Who has the better supporting pieces? And I think what the Timberwolves have is they have a lot of big guys on the
They got
team. And I
some.
think that
They got a good team. They running. They playing good. They
Dante
are.
DiVincenzo, he's
Yeah.
been
They got shooters.
really great for them.
They
That was
got
a huge loss.
shooters.
Listen, Knicks fans, what were
Well, I don't know what they would think
you
about getting rid
thinking?
of. I don't know what they were thinking.
Villanova boys
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking,
reunion, get rid
John.
of the bench. Huge test. If they could get past this second round, I don't either, man. But I think Timberwolves would be a great test for OKC. But I think for the Nuggets, well, I think if Shea Gilgeous-Alexander could play at MVP level and get rid of both Nikola and potentially Anthony Edwards, man, listen, kudos to him, and he's earned everything that he says he is. But I think for OKC, this is a huge prove it year for them because they got to show they're legit. And if they don't, I think there's a lot of questions asked because they're playing with house money. Of all those picks, you have over 14 out of 15 players on a contract. If you don't win though this year, you got to make tough decisions this summer, and that would be
Yeah,
a very
yeah,
interesting thing to
yeah.
monitor. And I
Because
think it seemed
I
like
think 3 or 4 of their players are restricted free agents next year.
right, and how are you going to draft anybody
Yeah, what you
if
gonna
your
do with all this
roster's
young
full? So I
talent?
think for OKC,
It's amazing, man. I'm telling you.
because their first place, there's nothing to worry about. They have a lot. They have a lot to worry about as well. They got to prove it, or
Yeah,
else they
they
got to
got
make
to.
decision moves with their roster.
Like I said,
But
I
yeah,
think the
that's
Nets
that's
have a
gonna be
good
no fun.
future. I'm just looking forward to it. John, I'm getting ready to get off in a few minutes, but I'm glad you showed up. I'm glad anybody in the chat reached out to me, and you can leave a message, leave any kind of. I'll answer your comments. We be back. I'm gonna be back next probably Monday after the games and see what see how things work out. But I look for the
Scott, your
and
volume went out. Scott, your Scott volume went out there for a second.
oh, okay, I get it. Okay, the net
You're
fans.
good.
There, I'm good.
Yeah.
All right, all right. Who's on, John? Let me see. Jamal. I can't get on right now. Okay. All right. Yeah. So, John, I'll talk to you later.
Great show. Thanks for having
Like
me on,
and
Scott.
subscribe. This is John, me, Scott, on Palmy Gamer More Brooklyn Nets Edition, Stoop Edition. Catch you later. Thank you for being on, John.
No problem. Peace out, Brooklyn Nets Nation.